Hi, Elizabeth
Hi,
McDuffie.
Belinda. So glad we got this sorted.
Right.
We
Yeah.
have so much to
Uh,
talk about already after our travails.
yes, we've met each other under pressure, sort of. Okay. So you're the editor or the chief editor of Meat for Tea.
I'm founding editor.
Founding editor. Okay. I guess you have a staff now.
Not really.
Oh, well, what made you decide to begin a literary magazine almost 20 years ago?
It was 20 years ago. The celebration of the 20th anniversary of the magazine was this past Saturday. And the inspiration actually started in the adjunct faculty offices of Holyoke Community College, where I was teaching English. And my friend and colleague, Alexandra Wagman, turned to me and said, "We should start a literary journal." And I said, "Okay." And then we did.
Well, so it's kind of a whim. That's exactly how I started a magazine in 1984 from Germany. I just decided one day.
Just decided. And then you just make it real, right? You take
Yeah,
the idea and make it.
but you were already writing and submitting to magazines and all that sort of thing, I'm sure. Or
No,
were you?
not really. Not as much. No, I mean, I was always involved. I was always writing, but I wasn't really submitting to publication so much as always being on the editorial board of one thing or another.
Mhm.
Like all the way back for my undergraduate degree, I was associate editor, then editor in chief of that college's tiny college in North Dakota, where I'm not even from, and that's a whole big story. But anyway, I did I selected what made it into that college's literary journal, which I didn't name. It was called Impressions. I'm shocked that I even remember all those thousands of years ago. And then when I was doing my master's degree, I sat on the board of another literary publication called Dust and Fire, also not named by me. I'd hasten to point out. So I always was like reading and putting together publications. My studies, I wasn't an MFA. I did doctoral work, and I studied composition rhetoric, better described to laymen as writing and the teaching of writing. So just a really deeply theoretical field. But I was always writing, but I wasn't submitting for publication as much. I was teaching, I was doing PhD seminar courses and single parenting most of the time, my three children. So it didn't leave a lot of time actually for submitting stuff out.
So now I need to ask, why meat for tea?
Yeah. So this is an oft told tale, you should know. But when Alex asked me to start a literary journal, I had the name Meat for Tea sitting unused because it was originally a band in which I played synth and keys. And you probably want to know the origins of Meat for Tea date all the way back to MySpace. And a fellow came into my private messages and actually he was trying to ask me out. He asked if I wanted to meet for tea, spelled that way.
Mm-hmm.
So no date for him
No,
with
I,
a English professor.
yeah.
That's not how you get a date with an
You're
English professor.
I imagine you're a stickler for things being spelled right. Do you also fight spell correct? That drives me crazy. I don't
I
know how
hate
to.
it.
I'll have something
I
that's
ignore it.
well. The thing is, I don't want it on it. I don't know how to turn it off. I'll type something. I know I typed it right, but because I look as I'm typing, but then after I press send, I see all this crap, and I'm so embarrassed that it's changed my meaning and by changing
Yes.
the words.
Yeah. The whole Yeah, I've often joked with friends that I dream of murdering autocorrect, which is what
Hmm.
I call autocorrect.
Hmm.
But it
Okay.
has a limited vocabulary and no sense of humor and doesn't know a whole lot about wordplay. And the same with the grammar correct is most of the time just dead wrong.
Hmm.
So anyway, when I saw his invitation to meet for tea in writing spelled that way, I just took note of the words. That's how it became a band name because I really liked the way it looked. And I liked how it kind of skews palindrome.
Hmm. You
And then
should.
it's got allusions like meaty reading for meaty minds. And there's the British tradition of meat tea or high tea. And there's just, it seemed rich to me.
Hmm.
I like the repeating EAs. I like the sound of it. And Alex liked it too. So that ended up being the title of the publication, of course, since we were both academics. She's like, okay, well, colon, and it started off as colon, the Northampton Review. And then I expanded it to the Valley Review, which is, I'm in the Pioneer River Valley
Hmm.
of Massachusetts. And that's how that happened.
Did it begin as a print magazine?
Always.
Yes, I was thinking because that was probably before much was done on the computer, 2005. I'm not
I
sure.
mean, it the layouts and well, 2006, the layouts and everything were always done on a computer. I have never had any desire to be an online only publication. I like to be a tangible
Mm-hmm.
physical print thing,
Mm-hmm.
book, object. And I actually feel more strongly now with our current zeitgeist that analog materials that you can hold in your hand filled with art and writing that are human generated are kind of a protest. This is anti AI.
Well, unfortunately, though, the price of postage has gotten so high.
That's okay.
Ugh.
What I do, and I've taken flack about it, but usually once I explain, the flack is left, is I have a teeny tiny reading fee. It's $4.85. That almost covers the cost of mailing out contributors' copies.
Oh, you mean your magazine you can't submit unless you pay a reader's fee?
It's $4.85.
Oh, I was wondering why I had never sent to you, but I am going to sometime in the future.
But that's the only reason why is it just about covers the cost of shipping you your contributor's copy.
Okay, understand. I
And
totally
I
understand.
explain it too in
Yeah.
the submission guidelines. There's a little explanation
Uh-huh.
that
Yeah.
comes up for that. And I fought against having any fee at all for years, but then it just became really apparent that it wasn't sustainable.
Hmm.
And there, I was either going to have to resort to being online only, which you can tell I'm kind of passionately disinclined to do, or find a solution. So I just started having a tiny fee. It's still under $5. I hope to keep it, in that area. And that's all it is that allows me to mail physical print copies all over the country.
So I do notice you have ads in the magazine.
I
Is
do.
is
That's
that
how we pay for printing.
okay? All right. So it probably you kind of pretty it pays for itself and maybe a tad more, maybe,
A
hopefully.
tad.
Good, good.
I mean, given that it's 20, it could earn more money.
Mm.
It's old enough to get a job.
Yes,
It's
yes.
20 years old.
That's true. Well, it's smart. I mean, you're doing what you need to do to keep it going.
Yeah. And, I'm fortunate to live in a part of the country where most of the business owners I know are very kind of artistically inclined people. So a lot of our ads are actually pretty aesthetically pleasing,
Mm-hmm.
which makes me happy. And it's nice to have the support of the community
But
behind me too.
tell me about the Cirques.
The Cirques, the most pretentious name for an event ever, but I stand by it. Well, that's a story with roots and origins. When I was a teenager, I very much loved reading about the happenings that were happening, the happenings that were happening. The happenings that were happening in the art scene in New York City in the 60s. And I was certainly not, I was just born in 62, so I was never old enough to have ever attended a happening. But I was really interested in that whole scene. And I always kind of had it in my mind that I wanted to try to make something like a happening.
Mm-hmm. So,
And
mm-hmm.
the Meat for Tea Circs are the release party for each issue of the magazine, but they are happenings. They're multimedia gala events. There's art on exhibit. There's spoken word, and it's not an open mic. It's curated because it's the local authors that are published in here reading. And I should make it clear, this is an international publication, but only the local authors come to read because people don't have plane fare, and traveling's gotten to be difficult. And I won't go into all the ugly political reasons why, but I'm sure you know.
Yes.
um, and there's also short films and live music. So it's a whole multimedia thing. There's been puppets, there's been stand-up comedy, there's been burlesque acts. It's a whole.
Wow. And so do you film these happenings?
Not usually. Sometimes a guest videographer comes and films them. My husband live records the audio,
Mm-hmm.
and the spoken word and music from the Cirques goes on the Patreon side of our podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So people can listen to them. And the only times we ever filmed them and made them into like movies was during the height of the pandemic, when obviously we weren't going to do live events because it's not our dream to get our friends sick. So then we did virtual Cirques.
Well, your podcast, is it available through Apple and all those places, or do people need to go to your website only?
Great question. All those places, every single place, it's
Okay.
available everywhere.
And it's called,
The Meat for Teacast.
there you go. Okay.
Of course. And it is conversations with the people I've published in Meat for Tea. So the content built itself, or the artists whose work I've published, or filmmakers who've shown films at the event, or musicians who played. The rule is they must in some way be connected to Meat for Tea.
Mhm. Okay. Well, it sounds like a wonderful kind of life-consuming almost thing. I mean,
It is quite.
yeah.
It's a full time, all the time thing. I mean, you're looking at one half of our entire staff right now. Sometimes we have interns, but we've never had very many people. Every now and then I've had a volunteer reader or two, but oftentimes it's been just my husband and me doing the whole shebang.
Well, at this point, we'd love to hear you read a couple of your poems.
Okay. So I have one that was published in the New Generation Beats 2025 anthology. This one is called Fly. You help a witch solve a case while watching the same action unfold on a television set in your room at a grand hotel where you need to do laundry. A friendly woman in the lobby tells you the facilities are in the basement, which you simply must see. You get in the elevator, descend, and enter an ordinary laundry room. A door opens into a pastel silk paradise of tufted hammocks. You want to bring your book down and read, but the witch needs your help, flying help. You choose whether to be a bird or a fly by touching the screen. You pick fly, then you are buzzing around the ceiling. You're smaller, but not really a fly in your steampunk fly costume with propellers at your nipples. You tell your partner about the basement. Their disinterest annoys you. A sound engineer in the basement records the band that's playing upstairs. You sing along, even though you don't like the song all that much.
Okay.
So that's fly. Let me pull up. Uh, give me one little second. Okay, this is a silly one. This one's called 6-7. Yo, Emily, tell me how to get that big Dickinson energy, that Amherst white dress riz. Tell me how to write lines that slap with birds and death and narrow fellows in the grass. Tell me how my poems can give, how they can be a vibe. I know it takes more than an M dash. I'm not Delulu. Oh, Emily, you poetry of Rizzler. I want to write like you.
Mhm. Well, thank you so much, Emily. Emily, Elizabeth.
That's my sister's name.
Oh, it's
I
been
was just reading about Emily, so.
it's been an experience and a pleasure meeting you.
And oh, thanks for tenaciously toughing out all the technical difficulties. That was
Right.
alliterative. Tenaciously
Okay.
toughing out technical difficulties. Thanks so much, Belinda.
All righty. Bye bye.
Bye bye.